Hello, everyone. Thank you all for attending this webinar on securing a research experience for undergraduates or visiting research. During this webinar, we will explore why engaging in research as an undergraduate is important, how you can look for research opportunities, how KGSP will support you in your search and application process, and what it is like to do the actual research. Thank you all for coming to the webinar this evening. If you have any KGSP friends who were unable to make it tonight, we are going to have another webinar on Friday evening, and both webinars will be posted to the Ning resource site next week. So others will be able to access the video recording of these webinars at that time. My name is Hannah Lannis, and I am the KGSP Enrichment Manager. I handle all things enrichment related on the KGSP program, anything from academic year conferences to summer research and summer internship opportunities. Joining me on the webinar today is Mr. Omar Al-Katani. Omar is a sophomore KGSP student at the University of Wisconsin at Madison, and he is studying mechanical engineering. Last summer, Omar participated in an REU at Cornell University, and he will be talking about his experience later in the webinar. Today's webinar is going to be divided into three main areas. First, we will discuss what it means for a KGSP student to do research and how KGSP students find and secure research opportunities. Then I will hand the presentation over to Omar, where he will tell you about his experience in an REU program last summer. And finally, I'll give you some final reminders and tips to be successful in this process. If you have any questions throughout the webinar, please feel free to write them in the questions box on the right-hand side menu. There's also the chat box there, and there is also the raise your hand option. And so when I see those questions, I can answer them. First, I'd like to explore the question, why research? Why is it important to you as an undergraduate student to engage in research? Well, as you know, summer research participating in an internship is an expectation of the program. It's a program requirement, this summer enrichment. It's a requirement because there are really great benefits to you as a student to participate in that kind of enrichment. If you engage in enrichment at your home university, the experience will help you to network on campus with other students and professors and faculty, and this could create future opportunities for more research. Participating in research at a visiting university will expand your professional network even further. It will strengthen your research background, and it could also provide opportunities not available to you at your home university. Perhaps a visiting university is doing research in an area that's of very much interest to you, but your home university doesn't provide research opportunities for that specific interest. That could be an opportunity to do some research for your interests and needs. But regardless of where this research takes place, the experiences you gain from performing academic research, those experiences are going to prepare you for your graduate program at KAUST. Home university research is a very common option for KGSP students, as there are a lot of resources at your disposal. Most universities have offices dedicated to undergraduate research. Sometimes the offices are housed within the specific college you are a part of. For example, there might be an office of undergraduate research within the College of Engineering. Other times there are school-wide offices that support students from all of the colleges at that university. These departments may help match students to research opportunities directly, or they may educate students on undergraduate research opportunities available to them. For example, they might talk with students about how to properly approach professors to find research. They might help with resume building and give support in that nature. Another resource available to you at your home university is your professors. Many professors or their colleagues engage in summer research and take on undergraduates as researchers. If you're having a difficult time, though, finding opportunities on campus, please discuss the situation with your university academic advisor because they may have tips, once again, for talking to your professors or knowledge of programs that the university runs that you might not know about. Also talk with your KGSP advisor because many of the advisors have been working years upon years with these universities and also might know programs available to you. Many KGSP students desire to do research at another university for the summer months, and KGSP certainly encourages it. As I mentioned before, visiting university research can provide opportunities not available to you at your home university, and it further expands your professional network. It will also give you the opportunity to live somewhere else in the U.S. for a few months. Opportunities like these are usually posted on universities' websites. If engaging in visiting research is of interest to you, KGSP Enrichment has compiled information on a number of these opportunities, and the information is accessible on Ning. To find the content on Ning, go to the Summer Enrichment page, and within the Summer Enrichment page, there's a section devoted to visiting institution research, as seen on the screenshot I took on the left-hand side of this slide. When you click View Here, which I've circled in the orange circle, the website will take you to a page with the information about the visiting research opportunities. That screenshot on the right-hand side is of that information. Each opportunity listed on this Ning website provides details about the research program and a link to their website for you to find more detailed information. It also has the applications for you to apply. All or mostly all of the programs have applications open right now with deadlines in February or March, but some deadlines are even in January. So it's important to start looking for these opportunities now and start applying now. But I do want to note to you that the list of the opportunities on Ning, it's not a list of all of the visiting university programs available all over the United States. It's a list of visiting programs that are at universities where KGSP students are located and ones that have research projects that we think will be interesting for KGSP students. But if you find a program at a university not listed in that resource on Ning, we definitely encourage you to apply to those other opportunities as well. Now, you may have heard of the term REU before, but for many of you, this name might sound new. REU stands for Research Experience for Undergraduates, and it's a type of visiting research. REUs are research programs at universities and science centers like national laboratories, and it's funded by the U.S. government. The programs are quite competitive, but they provide a high-class research experience to students, which is great, especially for undergraduate students. Most REUs require participants to be U.S. citizens because the funding is from the U.S. government, but many of these opportunities will take self-funded students, and KGSP Enrichment has reached out to many of these programs and have found a lot of them who do take the self-funded students. If there are fees related to summer enrichment, KAUST, as you know, will pay a certain amount to support KGSP students' participation. And so you, as KGSP students, can apply to REUs as a self-funded, sometimes it's called sponsored applicant, which is great. Currently, we are finalizing the list of the REUs that take self-funded or sponsored students. And once the list is complete in early December, it's going to be posted to the NING website, just like the visiting university research list is already posted on the NING site. We highly recommend that you review the list and apply to any opportunities that seem like a right fit for you. When you do apply to the REUs, though, it's important that you say you're a self-funded student or a sponsored student in the application or in the cover letter. So when the administrators who are reviewing the applications, they don't get your application and say, oh, this person isn't a U.S. citizen and throws it out. We don't want that to happen because they think that they can't fund you for it. So make sure you state that you're a self-funded or sponsored student and in the application or in the cover letter. Additionally, your KGSP advisor might reach out to you in the coming months about some of these REU opportunities that your advisor thinks might be specifically good for you to apply for. And if your advisor does reach out to you, we highly recommend that you apply for the REU. Next, I would like to review the process for applying to a visiting research university or an REU opportunity, so you know what to prepare for and what to expect when you're applying. The first phase is the research phase, and this is probably where you are at right now. During this phase, you're going to think about what kind of research you want to do, and then identifying opportunities for that kind of research, whether it's the home university research, the visiting university, or maybe an REU. When you identify the opportunities, it's important to review the eligibility requirements, dates of the program, deadlines for applying, and content of the research project. As mentioned a few slides ago, there are a lot of resources for you at your home university to help you find research programs. And KGSP has resources on NING for the visiting research opportunities. Well, once you identify the opportunities you want to apply for, you'll move into the application phase. During this time, you should read the application instructions very carefully. Many research programs will not consider applications if they are missing portions or incorrectly submitted. It's important to prepare the application materials early, as many require an official transcript and multiple letters of recommendation. Depending on your home university, it may take a few weeks to get an official transcript, and it also may take time for professors or previous supervisors to prepare and write your letters of recommendation. If you are selected for an opportunity, you'll enter the preparation phase. This takes place before you start the research program, and it may require you to complete work in the form of readings or online trainings. There may also be logistical pieces that you need to confirm regarding housing and travel. It is very important to be in communication, regular communication with your KGSP advisor during this phase so that they are aware of the housing and travel matters and can answer questions you might have about logistical issues. I'm going to kind of stop right there because I do see a question. And the question is, what is the NING website? Yeah, so NING is a basically a resource portal for KGSP students to access different resources on things like summer enrichment, resume building documents, the independent opportunity form. That is a document where if you find a visiting research opportunity on your own and you want to pursue that, you can complete this independent opportunity form and submit it for approval, so you can go do that. So there's like a lot of documents on the website, and it just provides a lot of great information. So things also like this webinar. I'm going to put the webinar recording up on the Ning website, so students who weren't able to participate in the webinar this evening or on Friday can watch the webinar later on at their own convenience. If you don't think you have access to Ning, please talk with your advisor about that. Great. Any other questions? Okay, I think that's all the questions for now. If you still do have questions, though, in the future, please write that. I am now going to hand off the presentation to our student presenter, Omar. Omar was engaged with an REU at Cornell University last summer, and he's going to describe to you about the application process, what his research project was about, what he did during the program, and any tips or advice that he could give you all about participating in REUs and applying for REUs. If you have questions for Omar, please write them in the chat box or in the questions option. Omar, I just gave you a microphone, so you should be able to speak now.
Hello?
We can hear you.
Yes, hello, my name is Omar. I'm a mechanical engineering student at the University of Wisconsin-Madison. As you can see, I did my RU in chemistry, which is very different than mechanical engineering. I chose this project because I was interested in learning more about chemistry to possibly change fields in graduate school. To me, the application process was not difficult, but requires a lot of work in terms of requesting recommendations, especially that I applied to 3 RUs. I think the most important part is writing the essay, since you are at a disadvantage being an international student. They, like RUs, would prefer to admit underrepresented US citizens. So you need to distinguish yourself in your essay. As for the experience itself, I really enjoyed working in this field, and gave me a clear idea that I might consider working in chemistry in the future. I'm not sure what to say.
No, thanks, Omar. So what was your actual project about?
So I worked in studying palladium manganese as a potential catalyst for oxygen reduction reactions. That's in fuel cells that basically takes water and turn it into energy.
Awesome. Yeah, that's great. So your project was from June through August. So were you able to have a few weeks to yourself in May before the program started?
Yeah, I used that time to relax and prepare for the research.
Great. Yeah.
I did.
Yeah, I think a lot of students are just always nervous that it's going to take too much of their summer. So I'm glad to hear that you're able to also relax and also prepare for it.
And also, I got 3 weeks after the program to go back to Saudi.
Oh, what? So you got it before and after. That's great. Could you describe some of the experiences that you listed on the slide?
Yeah, so the REU program is not just research, it's a whole experience. So there's a community, and there's like designed activities, group activities. We went to Corning lab. Corning is a glass company. The lab that we went to was, I think, the largest private lab in the US. Uh, we took, then I think there's a whole town named Cronin. We went to the Glass Museum afterward. Uh, the challenge course was fun because we got to know each other and participate in group activities. Uh, the group's annual party, that's the research group seen in the picture here. The professor does a party every year, and luckily I was working in the lab during the time that he planned to have his party. It was fun. I met a lot of people and people who are in industry and other labs, and got to know a lot of people.
Yeah, so you really created a community in the RU. Um, could you describe how your RU is set up? Were you with a like one-on-one with you and a faculty, or was it a small group of students with faculty, or how did that look?
So I was giving my own project, but I was under the mentorship of 2 graduate students, and I met with the professor multiple times during my time there to discuss my progress and how I should move forward my project. So I got a lot of help, especially because I've only like finished my freshman year, so I didn't know a lot about the research that I was doing. So they were really helpful, and they don't like the best thing is that they know that you don't know a lot, so they're not expecting a lot of you, a lot out of you, and there's not a lot of pressure on you to like work extra hard. But once you become invested in your project, you'll volunteer extra time in the lab to finish it.
That's great. You got a lot of support from everyone. Um, did you have to do any kind of end of program presentation or like just yeah, I guess present your research to the group?
Yeah, there's a 2-day event where everyone in the program presented what they've done throughout the summer. So yeah.
Awesome. And I'm going to go back actually real quick to the application process. So you said you applied for 3 REUs. Um, how did you find those REUs in the first place to apply for them?
Uh, I've looked online and used the resource page. 2 of the RUs I applied for were not in the resource page. The Cornell one was in the resource page.
Okay, so use the resource page on Ning. How long after you applied did you hear from them? Do you remember?
So I heard back from Cornell in April, and the other one I heard back from in June, and the third one I never heard back from.
Okay. Yeah, I guess that kind of sometimes happens. Does anyone on the webinar have a question for Omar? Put it out to the whole group here. Okay, I'm not seeing anything yet. Oh, hold on. Here's a question. All right. So, Omar, where did you get your recommendation letters from? Who did you ask?
Um, got it from my chem professor and math professor and another professor that I was doing research with during the year.
Okay, so they were some of your freshman professors that you had taken classes with that like knew your kind of work performance.
Yeah, I'm guessing like most of them were generic. Like, especially if you're a freshman, like the professor doesn't know you enough to like write a detailed recommendation. But if you like go to office hours and discuss research and things like that, he would get to know you.
Yeah, I think that's a great recommendation. If any freshmen are listening to the webinar right now, and sophomores, it's just always good to connect with your professors during their office hours. I know it might be intimidating, but American professors are very open to it. They really encourage it, and you do create a relationship and rapport with that professor to then kind of build a network with them and use them later on as references. If you also have any previous supervisors that have seen you doing kind of any type of scientific work, then that would probably be very applicable as well. Any other questions? That was a good one. All right, I don't see any right now. Omar, thank you very much. I have one more slide left, so why don't, if anyone has any more questions for Omar, write them down while I'm explaining the next slide, and after that slide, I will pass it back off to Omar to answer any of those last questions. So I did want to end here with some reminders for you and just overall tips for doing these research of the opportunities and then the actually applying for them. So it's really important, first off, to keep your resume updated. If you're a freshman who doesn't have a resume yet, you should definitely start working on that. We're going to be having a resume webinar next week, and your KGSP advisor can give you a lot of help on your resume. If you are a sophomore or a junior, please keep it updated. If you had any research experience last summer or this fall, make sure that's on there. If you had any significant coursework classes this past fall, please put that on your resume, as that might be really important when people are evaluating your application, comparing it to others. It's also really important to keep in contact with your KGSP advisor and tell them about research opportunities that you find yourself, or if your advisor recommends opportunities to you, talk with your advisor about that. It's also very useful to access resources, as I said before, at your home university, things like career fairs or networking events. So you want to keep your eye out for those kind of events. And when you do identify an event like that, you should put it on your calendar, make a point of going so you don't forget. Make sure you're regularly checking the Ning site that I talked about. Because we're going to be constantly putting up new resources there. And then, for example, in early December, I'm going to be posting the REU information. So please just keep on looking at that website. And the last two things I think are probably the most important. Really, these research opportunities, both REUs and the visiting research, they're competitive. And so it's important to apply to multiple opportunities. Don't apply to just one and put all of your hopes on that one. It's really good, like Omar did. He applied to multiple REUs. So it's always it definitely takes a little bit more work to do that, but in the long run, it's a much better strategy when you're applying to these things. And I mentioned it before, the applications for these research programs, both REUs and visiting research, they're already open. So you need to start right now, be proactive, start researching, and if possible, you can start doing applications. Winter break is a really great time when you don't have, your after finals are over, you're not busy studying and doing all that work, you're kind of just have this time off. It's a great time to start doing this research and starting to prepare for the application process and getting all of those materials ready. So let me see if we have any more questions for Omar. All right, I don't think we do. If any of you are on the webinar here who think of questions in the future, please email your advisor, ask your advisor those questions. Or if you want to join the webinar on Friday night, we are going to have another student presenter on their research opportunity last year at one of the national laboratories in New Mexico. And so you can come on and listen to that student about that specific opportunity and ask your questions then as well. You can also always email the KGSP enrichment at iae.org email account. Thank you all so much for attending the webinar on securing a research experience for undergraduates or visiting research. During the webinar, we really enjoyed having you. I enjoyed having you all tonight. And once again, this is going to be posted onto Ning. So if you want to revisit any of the information that was available on this webinar, you're welcome to do that later on. Have a wonderful afternoon if you're out there on the West Coast, or have a great evening if you're a little bit farther east. Bye, everyone.